What's up, YouTube? It's your girl Dee. Welcome back to the channel. So I'm back with another reaction video, you guys. Now, this particular video is of this mixed race woman who is speaking on how her black mother hated being black and tried to project that onto her. This was very interesting, and I think this is something we don't talk about a lot, how a lot of black people in general hate themselves. You know, they hate who they are, they hate their heritage, they hate everything about themselves, and how they end up projecting that onto their kids and others. We're gonna get into it. Make sure you let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this particular video. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you like the content, share and like the video, and hype the video up, you guys. Make sure you hype the video up and also leave your thoughts and comments in the comments section. But we're gonna go ahead and get into the video. Here we go.
I'm the biracial daughter of a black woman who hates being black. She hated being black so much that she hated me for being white. She would constantly point out the differences in our skin tone. She would tell me that I was lucky for being so light. She would tell me that she wished that she could be as light as I was, that all she had to do was stay out of the sun a little bit longer. She would tell me things like she was sorry for giving me my hair texture. She was sorry for giving me such a strong features, such a strong nose, such strong shoulders and strong muscles, strong arms. She would apologize for my build because I was built like a black girl, and she would tell me, I'm sorry I can't take you to these stores. I'm sorry you can't wear this style or this style because you're built like a black girl and I messed you up. She would rub white towels over her skin and check for skin flakes, because if she couldn't see any skin flakes on there, it must mean that she's pale enough now, she's light enough now. But because she hated being black and I was white and I leaned into my black heritage and was unashamed of it in the way that she tried to teach me to be, she felt like I was wasting a gift by leaning into it.
Ooh, child, this is a lot. You know what I mean? And this short clip says so much. You know, this is something that we don't talk about enough, how there are a lot of black women out here who absolutely hate themselves. They hate the color of their skin. You know, they hate everything about themselves, to the point to where they try to erase their heritage, their culture. You find a lot of women who do this. These types of women tend to want to date non-black men. They want to date anybody that's non-black so that they can almost erase their heritage, so that they won't bring children here who resemble what they are. And that's what it sounds like this is, that this woman, like she said, she hated being black. Even though her daughter is biracial, she still thinks that she's created a child that is, you know, has more of her black features, and she's apologizing because of that. That is some sick stuff. But there are a lot of people out here who think like that. I remember growing up, I would hear black women say they want to have a baby with a white man because they want the child to look more white and are more, you know, ambiguous and have good hair. There were literally women who would say they want to have children with a white man so that their children could have good hair because they hated their hair. They didn't like the texture of it, and they didn't like anything about it. So now they don't want to have children who look like them or resemble them in any way, shape, or form. So they purposely want to date and procreate with non-black men so that they can have a child that appeals to or appears to be more white. And this is why I say there's a lot of deep-seated issues that we gotta, you know, break down and get into, because, you know, there's a lot of things that's happened within our culture, within our race, and a lot of it's, you know, gone undiagnosed. A lot of the issues that black people as a whole had to go through. We don't talk about a lot of the mental illnesses and a lot of the mental issues that has stemmed from the things that black people had to go through, you know, dealing with racism in this country, Jim Crow, segregation, slavery, all of these things that black people in general have had to deal with and go through and live life dealing with these things. People don't talk about the consequences or the outcomes of how a lot of that stuff has affected us negatively. And, you know, we see some of the things that we've, you know, the consequences of the things that our culture and the people in our culture have had to face, and how it's, you know, created certain things within us, but we don't talk about it enough, and why there are a lot of black people who suffer because of that. The mental illnesses that are prevalent in our communities that we don't talk about. And we always talk about the issues that men have had to face, which I think men have had to face a lot more issues as a result of a lot of things and a lot of the atrocities that has happened within our communities and our culture. But we don't talk about the nature of the women who have had to suffer as well. We don't talk about the mental illnesses that a lot of women have had to go through based upon all of the things that we faced in our history and our ancestors, and the remnants of all of that, because there are remnants of it, but we don't talk about the mental aspect of it and how a lot of women are still dealing with that. We got colorism, we got racism, but then we have colorism amongst our people. We have to deal with the stigma of black women, deal with the stigma of being black and then being too dark. That you're too dark and you're unacceptable for the color of your skin, and you're too dark for this, and most men don't like this and all these different stigmas that are associated with our skin color. It can definitely reveal some mental issues and anguish that nobody is really checking for. It's almost as if a lot of the issues that stem from that don't exist. And there's a lot of insecurities and a lot of things that as black people have to deal with based on a history and a culture of racism and a lot of other things that we've had to overcome. And it would be, it's something that we don't think about or talk about. And as much as we like to say men are messed up and men have had to go through a whole lot of stuff in our communities, the women have too. But I don't think people focus on the mental aspect and how this can play a major part in your life. So the fact that her mother hated herself, that's something that we don't talk about. There are a lot of black women, in particular, darker skinned black women who don't like their skin color, who hate themselves. We already see that when it comes to black women hate their hair texture, hate their hair, hate it full on. And this is why they wear a lot of weaves to cover it up, a lot of hairs that mimics other groups of hair, and you don't even like the texture of it, you don't like the afro, you don't like anything about it, so you hide it or try to erase it. We don't talk about that that there's a lot of instability when it comes to that, and that's part of the reason why women wear these wigs and these weaves and stuff, because they're trying to cover up something that they've never really accepted and never really loved. And it does speak to a lot of self-hatred within our communities. It really does. And that's something that a lot of women are in denial about because they don't want to believe that that's the truth, but they know it is. And so once again, hearing this type of story, it validates the fact that there is a lot of self-hatred in our communities. And what happens is when that self-hatred is gone unchecked, then it's spewed out in different ways. A lot of times you project it out onto your children. You project it onto your husbands, you project it onto your family members, you project it onto co-workers, friends, you project it onto the people that are close around you in one way, shape, or form. But that's not something we talk about because it's almost taboo. Oh my God, that's not really happening. Black women don't do that. Black women are the most strongest and most secure women we know. No, there are a lot of insecurities. It's just they don't want to show it. They're afraid and ashamed to admit it. But there are a lot of insecurities within the black communities. This is why you find a lot of black women don't like when black men go to other groups of women or go to, or when they date white women or any other race of women, because it's the insecurity level that black women have. And I'm not going to say that it's every single black woman, but there is a lot of them, because the truth of the matter is, look, when you see those other women and you see that their color and their hair, a lot of those things black women are intimidated by, if they were to be honest, because you don't think that you stand a chance against a non-melanated woman, because a lot of them, their natural hair is longer, much more straighter, and it's their hair, and then their skin pigment is lighter. So in a lot of minds of black women, they see that as a threat. They see that as a leg up, like, oh my God, that they can't compete. They can't compete. And this is why you find a lot of black women who have this persona of so secure and so strong and so, together, when in actuality, it's not really that. It's a facade for a lot of women. It's a coping mechanism to make them think that they're so strong and that they don't have any insecurities and that none of that stuff bothers them, but it really does deep inside. And so this is why you'll see women crash out or try to shame men for dating outside their race, because they, in their minds, they're like, oh, they can't compete. You can't compete with a Brazilian woman or a white woman or any other group or race of women, because in their minds, they're like, oh my God, black men must think that those women are more beautiful because they have the aesthetic that we don't. They have the long straight hair, they have the lighter skin, they're more fairer, they're more acceptable, because when it comes to black women, especially darker skinned black women, a lot of them think that they can't compete, that they're not as beautiful as their counterparts. And so they secretly put themselves down. And then in some cases they say that also on top of that, that is the preference for most men. This is what you hear a lot of black women say, oh, men would prefer lighter skinned women, or even if they can get a non-black woman, with the fair skin and long hair, that's what they will prefer. So a lot of women already think that men will choose that, but at the same time, they already feel insecure within themselves that is the case, even when it's not. Even when you have black men who say they will prefer black women, they love black women, there are women who are still skeptical about that because they don't think that that's the truth. But when you think like that, to me, it's already an insecurity that you have. And then when you hear some black men say that, it only heightens what you've already thought or what you already felt, even though there are a lot of men who like dark-skinned women, black dark-skinned women. But if it's already insecurity within you, anything is going to heighten that and make you really, believe that is the case for all men when it's not. So, I just think that it's interesting, and I think it's kind of sad that we have this going on. But once again, it points to why so many women are struggling and why there's a lack of acceptance when it comes to who you are in nature, why being who you are is not good enough. And I think there are a lot of insecure women out here who don't believe that they're good enough. And this is why there's a lot of hatred when it comes to these women, because they're spewing their hatred because of the hatred that they have for themselves. They don't really love themselves, but they're looking for validation to convince them to try to love themselves. And you're looking for a man who's going to validate you. But even that would not be good enough because it's not something that you really feel within yourself. So this is why you find where you find women who try to change their appearance so drastically so they don't even resemble themselves at all, because it's something that they intrinsically hate and they don't love it and they don't want to see it. And anything that resembles that reminds them of the hatred that they have for themselves. So when you have children, especially daughters, you project that onto them and you try to make them feel insecure about who they are because you don't have that security within yourself. And so, yeah, it's a problem. And this is why I say too, there are a lot of women out here, black women in particular, who got a lot of issues that never really checked. It's gone unchecked. They never checked on themselves. They never really looked deep within themselves to see what's going on with them. But they're also projecting all of the issues that they do have onto men or anybody else. And I think it's something that we really have to pay attention to. This is why I say women are not without flaws. You're not walking around here perfect. There's a lot of things and red flags that are pointing to the fact that a lot of women are just like this woman's mother in this video. And they're silently trying to deal with it, but it comes out in many different ways. And, they're not getting to the root of the problem to fix it. And maybe they never will fix it, but a lot of women are in denial. And I think there are a lot of women who are dealing with this, but they're not dealing with it in a proper way. And that's why I say, listen, if you have issues that you haven't resolved, it comes out, especially when you're in relationships. It comes out in relationships with your friends, romantic relationships. The people that are closest to you are the ones who get to experience that hurt side of you. They get the raw end of the stick because the people closest to you are the ones you tend to hurt the most. And so once again, it just points to a lot of issues that I think we have in our communities, and I'm not surprised by because of the history and the things that Black people have had to do, the struggles that Black people had to go through in order to just persevere and live and thrive. So you can't tell me that all of the things that Black people had to go through and deal with and still deal with to this day have no bearing or no effects on your mental capacity. This is why I say it's asinine for women to push out here the fact that Black men are the only ones who have these toxic traits or have these things when Black women don't have it, that Black women are so whole and you got it all together and you don't have no issues. It doesn't make sense because your actions show otherwise. Your actions show that there are actual red flags and issues that you haven't resolved based on the men you choose, based on how you move in society, based on your attitudes. All of that stems from somewhere. Even though we talk about it, you got to think that comes from a place. That comes from trauma and hurt that has never been resolved. And we're walking around here putting wigs and makeup on it and putting designers on it to try to cover it up. But it shows, it slips right through all of that. We can see through that. People can see through that. And so this is why I say the actions of a lot of Black women is deeper than what we see. And until we're ready to dive into the deep issues and really try to get to the root of the problem and fix it, it's always going to be this way. And it's always going to be that way that makes it more difficult for them to actually move in a positive direction and get the outcomes that they really want, because that hurt is always going to be there. So listen, I thought this was an interesting conversation. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments below. I definitely want to hear your perspective and your points of view on this whole topic. I definitely want you to chime in on this one and let me know what you think. Make sure you hype up the video, share and like all that good stuff. And I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.